Hello, true believers. Excuse me for not doing a vlog yesterday. I was out all day doing football training. We were able to invite a few of Heroes Sarah's teammates, and we were able to play a small game, kind of half court, 2 versus 2. So busy doing that, so I didn't get to do a vlog. I wanted to do this vlog earlier because if you remember about a year ago, I'm trying to figure out when it was, like around last Christmas. I'm trying to figure out, it was like maybe last November. Anyway, you probably have to look up the dates. What happened was, it was during when every time there's New Year's, it's kind of festive. People make a lot of noisemakers, and what happened was these neighbors had a confrontation over the loud noise. Apparently, this son over here, and this is the mom. The mom's over here. The son over here was making too much noise, and apparently he didn't like it. I mean, all neighbors have disagreements all the time. But usually around that time of year where there's a lot of noisemakers celebrating the new year, people make a lot of noise. You just kind of live with it and just kind of bear it and just kind of tolerate it. And for some reason, there was an incident over here. So you got this policeman over here and the daughter over here, and what he wanted to do was, because the fireworks or the noisemaker he was using was apparently illegal. But I mean, normally during this time, there's a lot of fireworks that are illegal, but people just kind of look the other way, and until the new year finishes, and then no more fireworks. Apparently, he wanted to arrest this guy for making all that noise, and the mom didn't want to let him go. So this is the incident over here, and it resulted in the shooting. And I'm shocked that YouTube actually allowed this footage to be uploaded. So I don't know if I could upload it, but here I'll do my commentary. But let's show the actual video of the actual incident. The reason why I'm bringing this up is because it was actually finished in court. There was a decision there was a judgment already ruled in court, I think like 3 days ago. So let's go back to the actual, and this is the video that they used, the electronic evidence to use to prosecute the person. And if you watch the video, if you haven't seen the video, it's pretty much speaks for itself. In legal language, they'll use, in Latin, they'll say res ipsa loquitur. The thing speaks for itself. So let's watch the video, and then I'll do my commentary on what I actually heard on the news when he was judged, when the decision, the what is it, promulgation of justice, POJ, was handed out. But let's watch the video, and then I'll talk about his sentencing. Play. So I'm in my iPad here. So check this out. The mom didn't want his son to go with the police and be arrested for the illegal fireworks, which is a minor. It's a minor infraction. It's like a misdemeanor. It's no big deal. But she just didn't want him to go to jail for it. And there's this like little 10-year-old girl. Wow, and then chaos breaks out after that. So here it is. And the problem with the actual scene itself here, as you could see, the cold-blooded murder. In court, they were saying, and the witnesses testified that there was no cause for this person wasn't in any danger or anything like that, where his life was in danger, where he had to resort to lethal force. was the argument over here. As you could see, they're just resisting. They didn't want to go along. If that's the case, usually the right thing to do was probably, I'm not in law enforcement. It's just to call back up and then haul them off if they really want to take this to the next level. But this guy wanted him to voluntarily come along, and he obviously he couldn't do it single handedly. So the point is, he's right in front of his daughter. He didn't want to come along. They didn't want to come along. He's saying, come with me and get arrested for the illegal fireworks. And the mom's saying, no, I don't want to go. She's resisting. So the daughter is saying, hey, follow my dad because he's a police. And she says, I don't care. And kind of did it in this kind of singing way. And then the guy just says, oh yeah, I'm not going to lose face in front of my daughter over here. I'll show you. I'll make you care. And I just shot them in cold blood. So the resulting sentence for this guy, the promulgation of justice, is he got 40 years, or what they call reclusion perpetua over here, which is different from life. If you got a life sentence, after 10 years, you could actually qualify for parole or some kind of early release. But when it comes to reclusion perpetua, you don't qualify for anything, those things. You have to serve the full life sentence, which is 40 years. And in this case, he killed two people in cold blood, as you could see. And so he got two reclusion perpetua sentences. I remember when I was in prison, one guy who was selling marijuana, he got life and he was pretty happy about it. But the problem was because he was he had 2 pounds of marijuana that was caught on him. So, but it was 3 life sentences. So that's going to be 30 years. So if you think about 3 life sentences, 10 years each, talk about 30 years, at least it's not 40 years. You have to look at it that way. So it's better to serve 30 years versus 40 years. So the point he got 2 reclusion perpetuas. You're thinking 80 years and never got out of prison, but that's not how it works. From what I understand, when I was in prison, I was told that even if you got 5, 10, 15 reclusion perpetuas, you only have to serve just one of them. So 40 years is enough. And I think from what I remember, this guy's in his 30s. By the time he gets out, he'll be in his 40s. So, I mean, he's in the 30s and he'll be in his 70s. So he's going to be pretty old. So he's going to be spending the rest of his healthy life. And when he gets out, he's going to be pretty old and pretty much spent, his best years are going to be spent in prison. And that reminds me, when I was in prison, there was these young guys, like I said, they got convicted of gang rape, but instead of rape is usually the sentence for it is reclusion perpetua, but for some reason they only got 17 years instead. So they were pretty happy with it because they're still pretty young at that time. I think they were 23, 20. The incident happened when they were 17. They went into hiding for several years, and afterwards they got convicted when they were 22, 23. So they were pretty happy with 17 years because they're still going to be young enough. And I remember one of the boys telling me, "Look at you." He's pretty happy that it's only 7 years versus 40 years, because even he says he'll still be young enough to have a family, and he was using me as an example that I'm still that I still have my virility. It was the example that he was saying. But back to what this person was sentenced. So 40 years and two reclusion perpetua sentences. And like I said, the law says you only have to serve one, but it doesn't really matter. You're still going to spend 40 years with no chance of parole or any time off for good behavior. So you have to serve the full 40 years. That was what I was facing, because human trafficking and rape that was the sentence for the charges against me. And for this person, he got convicted of it, and because of this video right here, this digital evidence and testimony of people that were actually there. And the damning part was, as you could see, he wasn't in any danger at all to use lethal force. And the reason why, and he was interviewed, and when I was listening to the interview, he gave or what the reporters say that he responded to, why did you do it, or what was his response to his sentence. He says the two reasons why is, number one is wala ako sa sarili ko, which translates to I wasn't myself at that time, is what he said. And number two was that he didn't ayoko magpatalo, which means, if you translate, it means I don't want to lose. But it's what it's actually saying, if you kind of translate it loosely or try to make an expression, is I didn't want to lose face. I didn't want to lose face in front of my daughter over here. I didn't want to be disrespected or dishonored because the little girl just said, hey, my dad's a policeman, and she said, I don't care. And he lost face right there. And to gain his face back, he showed how powerful he is by taking their lives in cold blood for no reason at all other than to save face. And now, so he could save face, he's going to spend the rest of his life in prison. And the commentary I wanted to make here is, this is just another perfect example of people living in the moment, people just living in the now, and how there's no humanity, there's no soul when it comes to just the people here that are living here in the Philippines. They don't really think about they don't care about the future. They just think about what they're going to do now, and they don't think about how it's going to affect the future. Like this person, he says, I'm just going to shoot these two right here in cold blood, just murder them to save face. And I'm not thinking about spending the rest of my 40 years and for no reason other than to lose face. He wasn't in any danger. His daughter wasn't in any danger. But to lose face is warranted enough. It'll move people, as you can see, to murder. And over here, if you have a gun, especially if you're police, like all the police over here, then you could easily, you could, if you look at this, he's not drunk. He's not under any duress or anything like that. He just lost face. And this is what I always say, why people always use the term, like what they call each other, animals over here. And this is the reason why. They have no soul. They can't think about their actions, right? The future. They're just thinking, they can't get past that. And they also don't have any humanity. They have no soul. Humanity, I mean, like I always say, we're not animals. We can't just go over to somebody if you see a hot girl. We're not cavemen where we just kind of strike them over the head and drag them by the hair and do whatever we want. We have self-discipline. We have self-control. We have this part of humanity that says, we can't do that. We restrain ourselves from doing harming other people or murdering other people because of our humanity. And as you can see over here, this is a simple case of there is no humanity. And this is something that you have to keep in mind when it comes here to the Philippines, that if you make somebody lose face over here, just even as something as simple over nothing, they could result to lethal force right over here. Usually most people, they don't have a gun handy. Like all police have guns handy, as you can see. This is probably I have a video where I have the police shooting this grandma over a discussion because he lost face, so he shot her in cold blood also. And this is another incident. Usually all police have guns, but if you don't have a gun, usually people have knives, so they usually they'll stab each other. Especially every weekend there's always an incident of stabbing, frustrated murder over like karaoke. If you sing a song that they are supposed to sing, it's their signature song, and then all of a sudden you're singing it, they'll stab you because you took their song and they lost face. So same thing over here. That's why it's against the law to be causing Filipinos or foreigners like brain dead, to be causing. If you're a foreigner and you're a temporary visa, it's illegal because it's the culture over here. That's how they take losing face seriously over here. Here, this I think Brain Dead did a stupid video trying to explain it, but he was completely he doesn't know what he's talking about, and he wrote a book. But it's just simple how it is over here. There is no humanity, there is no soul, and that's why people are always when they say that, like, I'm grooming. Well, yes, you have to groom somebody, or else they're not gonna. The people are like this over here. They're not thinking about their future. How do you get them to think about their future? Then obviously people are gonna call it grooming. So for people that like this, that have no soul, no humanity, that'll stop them from doing something stupid like this, which is going to ruin the rest of their lives, then yeah, you want to groom them to think about their future. That's if you want to make a difference. But obviously, the people that are watching these videos don't know anything about that, or probably could care less. They're probably just thinking about themselves. But for the others that are considering visiting here in the Philippines, these are the cultural nuances you have to know. So, as you can see, there is no humanity here in the Philippines, and the police over here, especially if you have guns, they'll just shoot somebody. There was another incident I forgot to do a video on where these policemen shot each other, and I think it was over like arm wrestling. They arm wrestled. The guy lost, so the guy lost, saved face, and for him to save his face again, he shot and they were like both policemen. I forgot to do a video on that. And maybe you could say they were probably drinking, but I mean, I've been drinking before and I've been drunk plenty of times, and the last thing I'm gonna do is shoot somebody. I still have enough of self-awareness that I'm not going to shoot somebody and pull a gun. But there's nothing more common over here: pulling guns, pulling knives, just over the smallest things like losing face. And there is no humanity that will stop them, because the people over here are in such a low level of consciousness that it's almost like animal like. It is animalistic, where like animals, they don't care about tomorrow or next week or the next 40 years. All they care about is what's happening in front of them right now. So but the good news is that justice was served. These family got some justice. But what is justice over here in the Philippines? Justice means you're automatically, it's dead. It's death. Usually justice and death kind of go hand in hand together over here in the Philippines. There's usually death. I'm probably the only one that so far have gotten justice, is not dead yet. But I don't know about tomorrow or the next week or the next day. Like I said, I'm not going to be jumping in front of any buses, but that's how dangerous it is here in the Philippines, especially when it comes to the police. As you could see how it is, it for them, there's nothing to it. Killing the police over here, killing people just like this, is to them, it's just as easy as breathing, and it's not gonna keep them awake one way or another. Just like what they did to me, it's like, yes, they put an innocent man in prison, or the Korean businessman that they killed, and you would think that they would be regretful, or they would be in a state of, but instead they just, oh well, he's dead, so let's ask for some ransom money, and on top of that, to add insult to injury. So that's probably another issue that I probably should talk about. What to do if you've ever been kidnapped for ransom by police. And usually 99.9, I mean, let's just say if you are kidnapped, it's you're kidnapped by police over here. So there's really no much discussion of after that. And what do you do? Do you pay the ransom? Do you follow the rules of proof of life? And probably what I probably want to say is that if the police kidnap you, you're probably 99.9% going to be dead, because you're a loose end, and everybody knows what they do with loose ends already. Once they got the Korean businessman's money, he was dead already. So it's all about it's all about how do you stay alive. No, once the police get involved and it's kidnapped for ransom, the chances are 99.9% you are not going to stay alive. Well, what about you, Bill? It's only, how come you're alive? Well, by some miracle, I I have my destiny. I have my calling over here. It's like to survive these kidnapped for ransom by the police. for money so I could tell my story, so I could share my experience. And the reason why is I'm alive is so it doesn't happen to you. And this is just an example of what the police can and willing to do for money and for in this situation so they could save face. Yes, he did save face. Yes, he's a badass now, but he's going to be a badass for the next 40 years in prison with his sentencing of reclusion perpetua. Unlike me, opposite of me, which I was accused of rape and human trafficking, and the sentence for those or the penalties for those is 40 years reclusion perpetua. But as you can see from the documentation that I've already made public, that that there is no rape and there is no human trafficking, because you can't, number one, you can't rape the willing, and number two, you don't need to there's you don't need to sell the people over here, because everybody knows these people sell themselves, so why do you need to do it? Then why? Then I guess the next question, and then if the people here sell themselves, then where do you come in? Oh, I make sure that I make sure that if anything bad happens, I it's gonna happen to me first. So I'm kind of like the canary in the mine. So if anything's gonna be bad, that's gonna happen, and for so long, for like you're talking about over 10 years, I've been doing bebels only. That nothing like this bad happened. I mean, I'm sure there's bad things where the girls eat and run. That's kind of minor, but for something major like this, death or even worse than death, I those are the kind of things that and that's the kind of value that I probably bring my time and my experience and my wisdom. Like I said, I don't sell people, but I do sell my time, my experience, and my wisdom. And like I said, the life I save may be your own. Anyway, let me know what you think. Let me know what you think of the video. I'm surprised that YouTube allowed it to be uploaded, but you can check it out yourself. I think the name of the video, I don't think it's going to be Tarlac Shooting Incident, Killer Ex-Cop, Nuesca, Killing of Mother and Son in Tarlac update. So yeah, it's 2021, so somewhere around maybe 8 months to a year ago. But I think one of the other things that people were commenting about this case was that they were able to get a conviction like in less than a year. Usually something like this lasts like 3, 4, 5, 10 years, especially during this pandemic where there's like no court cases. So I know I know that I have my own legal issues I have to deal with right now, but just like with everything, it's on hold until the pandemic is over. Whenever that is, it's probably, my best guess is when the next election, and whenever the new president, or maybe the same thing. So my best guess is after the next election, which is 2022. Anyway, let me know what your thoughts and comments. What are your reactions? Let me know if you have any questions. Like I said, over here in the Philippines, there is no humanity, and there is no soul that prevents people from acting on impulse, even murder like this. And the police, especially the police, will murder you for, if they'll murder anybody for nothing over here just to save face, then they'll definitely murder you for the money in your pocket, and even your credit cards, especially as far as the cybercrime police are concerned. Anyway, this is Bebels Only. Thanks for watching.